Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I see we have quite a number of people dialed on already. Just quickly scrolling through the names here. Hi, Heidi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Very well. How are you all?
Very good, thank you. Chris.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone.
There's a group with Adriana in close to, did you say in Sao Paulo?
Yeah. Yes.
Very welcome. Julio.
Julio?
Hello, I'm here in São Paulo.
Anita. I can see Anita has joined, Julia's joined, and let's see. Great. Whilst we're waiting for one or two more people to get onto the call, I will repeat it again later, but you can perhaps rename your screen names for the moment, just to ensure that we can see who you are and maybe your affiliation and where you are. So you'll see that my screen says John North, and actually I need to rename it because I've got a guest with me, Francini. Let me just add Francini here. Francini, of course, works on our magazine, Global Responsibility, and we're here in George at in the southern tip of the African continent in South Africa. So let's just see how we're doing here in terms of getting people online. Anita, Adriana, Julia, Ragnar, Chris, Google, John, Francini, Heidi. Oh, great. Okay, I want to propose that we maybe start, because we do have only a very limited amount of time, unfortunately, and our feedback from the first vCollab that was that often it becomes a bit difficult to concentrate, and we want to make sure that this is engaging. My name is John North. I'm the Managing Director of the Globally Responsible Leadership Initiative. We're an incubator of ideas and initiatives that act through our partners, mainly business schools and some companies, to initiate new projects, to develop new ideas that are focused on developing global responsibility in leadership and in practice. I should mention that we're also in partnership with AACSB and EFMD, two leading accrediting bodies, as well as the United Nations Global Compact. So you're all very, very welcome. We're not going to do a full round of introductions now, because the way this event is set up is to ensure that everyone gets a chance to speak, so you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. I'm going to take 2 minutes of your time and open the event by saying that we're not only here today to explore how transformative management education can develop global responsibility, but also in a way to prototype and pilot the use of virtual technology or digital technology in a peer learning environment. So this is as much an experiment in virtual collaboration as it is a learning experience about the topic that we're dealing with. So when using Zoom, which is what we're using today, please rename your screen name, so that we know who you are. You can raise your hand or use the chat function. And when you're not speaking, please mute your microphone, as there is potentially some feedback. I would also like to add that if you're interested in some of the methodologies that we're using, you should look at the 50+20 collaboratory approach. So what we're doing today is in part based on some of that thinking, which is to create an open multi-stakeholder space where issue-centered research and learning can help us progress towards solving the world's biggest challenges. The collaboratory approach, of course, part of the 50+20 vision. A very short ad break. We have our annual or AGM, I should say, which really stands for All Gathering Momentum. We have our AGM meeting taking place in Limerick, in Ireland, this coming October. And we hope to see some of our network partners there, including some of our friends at Oikos. Our theme is Common Good, Common Ground, and we'll be exploring a number of project workshops, or ideas and project workshops, and registration will be opening soon. You're already welcome to RSVP to indicate whether you're interested in going. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Chris Taylor. Chris is one of our associates and a partner at Oasis School for Human Relations. Chris has kindly agreed to help facilitate. He will briefly introduce our conversation starters, and then we will get the ball rolling. There will be some screen sharing. There will be some active participation in Google Docs where we will capture some comments. So bear with us as we experiment and learn with and from each other. Great. Chris, over to you.
Thank you very much, John. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Great to have everyone on the call. Really looking forward to working with you on this. The focus for the session is what makes a great learning environment. The first vCollab looked at what is responsible leadership, and we now want to move into how do we develop responsible leadership and what types of educational experience we want, what makes for a great learning environment. And we're going to start this by having three conversation starters, Julia, Anna and Heidi. And the format we're going to use is a storytelling format. So we've invited each of the three conversation starters to think of a time when they've been involved in a great learning experience, and just to tell the story of that. And when we've heard from those three, we're then going to move into small group discussions, and John will split the group using the wonders of modern technology, and you'll all get an opportunity to share your stories as well. Then we'll come back together and we'll harvest any lessons, any themes, any analysis of those stories. So the first part of the process is storytelling. And just before I invite the storytellers in, I just want to tell a very quick story from this book. This is a book of Zen stories from Japan, in fact, and from Zen Buddhism. And I read the whole book, and I have to confess that I didn't understand a whole lot of it. It went straight over my head. But the first story really struck home to me. And it's called A Cup of Tea, and it goes like this. Nan-in, a Japanese master during the Meiji era, received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. Nan-in served tea. He poured his visitor's cup full and then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself. It's overfull. No more will go in. Like this cup, Nan-in replied, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? I'm hoping people are chuckling, but I can't hear that because you're all muted. But it's a chuckle. And the reason for telling that story is just to get us into the vibe of telling stories, but also because I think that sense of slight emptiness is what we need during this session. So it's a bit of what we're encouraging is a sense of openness to hearing other people's stories, curiosity about what we can learn, and just a sense of openness rather than a sense of fullness. So on that note, I will pass over to the three conversation starters to start us off with their stories of great learning experiences. Now, I don't know which of the three would like to go first, but somebody can volunteer. Heidi, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start off.
Thanks.
Can everybody hear me clearly enough?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So when I got the question, I started to think about numerous different experiences that I'd had and found some kind of common themes in a lot of them. But there's one that definitely stands out above the rest. And I think it's probably because it pulls in threads from a number of the others. So the experience that really kind of stands out for me was an experiential learning game that we played. And I think most people have played numerous experiential learning games in a variety of different places. But the difference with this particular game, it's called Fish Banks. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but it's quite a complex systems game where it's messy, it's relational, there's a lot of time pressure, and the consequences of the decisions that you make during the game have detrimental effects beyond what you might realize when you're just running a business in this particular game. And the reason why it particularly stands out for me is that I think so often when we deal with case studies or experiential learning, they're very limited to a business context and take no account of the social environment and the environmental consequences. And this particular game highlights that if you're not cognizant of what you're doing to fish stocks, you have nothing. So the environment is at the heart of everything in the game, as well as the opportunity from a relational perspective to collaborate on things and to create action around issues that need to be addressed. So I wanted to highlight that because I just think that there are so many experiences or spaces where we're learning that are still stuck in very old frames that potentially don't explore or put the environment at the heart of what we need to be exploring. And then to end it off, as a kind of debrief, we left in pairs and did a beautiful walk and just shared what we had learned from the game with the person that we were walking with, and then came back, collected together again, and came back and shared that learning. And so kind of walking out of a room, back into nature, spending time just kind of looking around you and being in a different headspace was really critical. So that particular experience stands out for me. And I think it's because the combination of connecting us beyond our traditional mindsets around issues, the relational component, the environmental component, the social component, but then building and bringing us back into nature afterwards, that's kind of stood out for me. And I think the difficulty though is that there are probably another 5 others, but it's definitely been where art or the environment or, kind of exploring beyond the norm is what's been an exciting, real experiential learning space rather than the regular.
And can I ask you a question before handing over to the next person? And that's just that you're in business, right? And this kind of it all sounds a little bit frivolous, It all sounds a little bit, because business is a serious business, right? And this sounds frivolous. You're playing games and you're going out into nature.
Yes. Well, I think what's more frivolous is when we play with mindsets that we're not willing to explore things differently. I mean, that's kind of, you're stuck. This is the way we've always done things, so let's just stick in that frame and continue on. We need to test ourselves. We need to push ourselves into spaces that we're not that familiar with, and just find new. The same way of thinking is not going to change things. We need to find new ways of thinking, and that doesn't necessarily come in traditional learning formats. Okay,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, maybe Yulia, could you go next? I just want to say that what we have alongside the video format is we have a virtual flip chart that Dagna's got in a Google Doc. And if we share with you all now, here we go, the link to that Google Doc, if anything strikes you, anybody, that you want to record on the flip chart, then you can go to that Google Doc. So there's a section on the Google Doc at the beginning that talks about these great learning experiences. So if you're picking up a theme that you'd like recorded on the virtual flip chart, just go to the Google Doc at any point and type it in. Okay, Julia.
Hello, everybody. I'm a little bit nervous. I've never done that before. So I was thinking a lot about which story I'm gonna tell you, and it was not hard to decide which one it's gonna be, but then I decided to take one from the year 2014. I think it was one of my most important oikos experience. And I want to tell you about the Oikos Winter School. It took place in Wittenherdecke, that's somewhere in Germany, in the nowhere, seriously. So I really didn't feel very comfortable because I'm used to cities. But then I had the most amazing 2 weeks. The topic of this winter school was how can change happen? And we had really great workshops, but the most important things or thing I experienced there was what happened outside the workshops, right? We had 2 weeks, no, 10 days in this nowhere, and every second we spent the time together. So when we didn't have a workshop, we did pottery, or we had a walk, or we painted something, or we acted a role play, or whatever. So whatever we felt like is now the right thing to do. And what I experienced is that we became a real group. So after those 10 days, it felt like I know these people from since ever, you know, and after 10 days, we got back to the city, so to the village where the university is. And then we had the chance in 2 days to organize an event for, I don't know, 3-4 hours for high school students. So they just let it up to us, and we could deliver or do whatever we want with those high school students. And we were about 25 people, or maybe even 30 people, and we had to decide, what are we going to do? What is the most important thing we experienced those 10 days, and how can we deliver that or bring that across in 3-4 hours? So I looked up the English words, so I'm not really familiar with that, but it's kind of a grassroots democracy, right? And everyone had to be fine or okay, or even with the idea of what we're going to do. So, and how kind of the atmosphere was when we were deciding what are we going to tell and what are we going to deliver those high school students. That was a very new experience for me. And after that, we had 2 more days for gardening. And after those gardening classes, kind of, everyone was sure what role we want to play in how everyone can contribute to change the world. And that was kind of so amazing. And it was like the whole group was so into it, and everyone knew that we can do it together. And that after 2 weeks. And yeah.
I can tell from the smile on your face that it was it feels like a total immersion process, like your whole being, all aspects of who you are is in this process.
I think so.
Interesting.
And I think everyone experienced the same thing in the whole group.
Yeah. Okay. Which strikes me as very different from a normal educational experience, which is very head-based. Yeah. Okay, Anna. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Well, I had to laugh a lot while Julia told her story. I imagine the Witten chapter was really funny. It's their way of doing things. I was thinking about which story to tell, quite a little bit harder than Julia apparently, because I couldn't really decide on which ones to take. And now I decided on a rather recent story. We've started holding workshops in Vienna where we work with people to help them find their interests and what powers them, what they want to do in life, to find out what projects they want to do at some point, to be a change maker. And along that, we also started doing some mini workshops, which only last a few hours. The big one I was just talking about is about 3.5 days. And we got asked by this network called POSA, School for Everyone, who focus on people with migration backgrounds who are too old to enter the Austrian school system, and help them to basically get their basic school degree. And they asked us really spontaneously, actually, to facilitate a workshop with young refugees. And they couldn't really tell us anything. They didn't know how many people will be there. I mean, they said 10 to 40. We didn't know how good their German would be, what their interests would be, how old they would be. They just told us they were young. And so it was kind of, whoa, okay. We've never had that situation. It's a totally different way of doing things than if you do it with people who are from the same culture, speak the same language, are going the same direction, basically. So I was kind of, well, stressed out about that because I really had no idea what to do. So I sat together with two of my colleagues whom I'm also doing the workshop, or whom I did the workshop with. And we started discussing on what we want to do and what is important to do, which was something when I started working together with those people, was really new to me because I majored in business. And in our university, at least, teams are not really a focus in the education. It's rather go by yourself, be competitive, and do it as fast as you can. Not doing anything on the side, but just focus and go through. So working together with somebody else and talking about what actually bugs you and what you're afraid of and what you think of what you should do next was something really new to me. But I really like it. It's really productive because we, in the end, set up a really nice workshop for those, I think, 16-year-olds, 20 of them. We had some troubles in between because, of course, we are always having games with our workshops to lighten up the mood a little. And with those, for example, we were kind of, well, out of our, I don't know, it was just kind of, for us, we played a game where people had to gather in the room according to their age or when they were born, which sounds really easy. And we didn't think about that before, but then we're there, and the people were just standing there, not moving, because they didn't know when they were born, which was a really weird feeling for us because that's something everybody knows, right? So we had some really interesting well, things happening during this workshop, but in the end it all turned out really well. Everybody liked the workshop, and for me the basic outcome was you have to take risks sometime and just try out something new. If it works, it does. If it don't, it doesn't. And it's really important to have some people with you who are maybe even just as afraid as you are yourself, or not, which is even better. And to just figure it out along the way.
I love that. I love the sense of taking risks and learning through failure, learning through getting stuff wrong. Because if you're not, then you're not outside of your comfort zone, are you? Yeah, great. Okay, so everybody, you can see the format here. You know, that's been a great example of how to do this. So at this point, John, I think, is going to use the technology to split us into a number of smaller groups, so that we can all share our own stories about great learning experiences that we've been in, either as a participant or as a facilitator, a teacher, and so on, and just see what other themes we can pick out. And as I say, as you see things, as things come up, do put them on the virtual flip chart there on Google Docs. So John, can you split us?
I can. What I'm going to propose is we have 10 dialed in, or 11 dialed in participants. I would like to suggest that the group at USP with Adriana, that they hold their own, or if they would like, they can join. I think it might be easier if they hold their own. So what I will do is I'm about to create 4 rooms. You will automatically be assigned to one of the rooms. And I'm going to try and ensure that we have one of the conversation starters each in a room.
And we'll be 15 minutes in the chat room.
Yes, so 15 minutes in the chat room, and then when we end it, it will come back. We will close it, and you will automatically be added back into plenary. Whilst you're in the chat, in the breakout rooms, please use the Google Doc to capture under group 1, 2, 3 your comments. I will pop in to some of the rooms just to check that everyone's clear.
Okay, great.
I'm just, if you just give me a minute, I will quickly create the rooms. So Anna, Dagna, and Nicole, Julia, Julio, and I'm going to add Adriana. Oh, Anita says her connection is terrible. So Anita, I will. I think what I'll do is I'll put you and Julio with Julia. Sorry, with Chris. We'll just do this. Sorry, guys, almost done.
Okay.
And let's just move that there. Okay, and 2, 4. Okay, and there we go.
Okay, so you have to accept the invitation to join the breakout room. Yep.
Okay, Anna, you would have received an invite. Heidi, just accept. There we go. Julio, Cesar, you need to accept the invite. Julio, hi, did you get an invite? Julio, did you get an invite?
It's aqui, ó.
Hi, Julio.
Por que que você vê ele e a gente não vê?
O quê?
Por que que você vê o John e a gente não vê o John lá?
Oh, do you want to go to that group? Okay.
Agora já entendeu.
Já, ok.
Just see. Unfortunately, I can't reassign you. I'm sorry. I've already. So you're in Adriana's group. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Then, are you physically in the same room as them?
We're together.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Then I'm just going to. Then if you could just participate with them, and then I'll pop into Chris's room. Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So we're getting back into the rooms now, into the plenary room.
Okay. Ah, are we all back?
I think so. I'm just checking our participant list. Yeah, we're all back.
Okay, great. Great. So if we're all back, then we have some time now just to share something back from those small groups back into the large group. So, and I think this is just any surprises or any interesting things that you discovered about learning and people's stories about what made a good learning environment. So I think the floor is open. I don't know technologically quite how we handle this bit, John, but
We're working it out as we go along. I think I have a way here of seeing whether someone raises their hand. I don't know whether you guys have the option available on your screen to raise your hand.
I thought I did, but I can't
Yes,
see
we
it.
have. You can see it in the chat. When you say the participants over there, you have raise hand.
Okay.
Could you repeat it, please?
If you open the chat, under all the list of the names, you also have a possibility of raising hands. It's written raise hand. Mute me and raise hand.
Okay.
Would you mind quickly raising your hand just so we can see so I can see what it looks like on the screen? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so Adriana's just raised hand. Great.
Okay, so who'd like to kick us off in the discussion then? Anything that came out in those breakout groups that you found interesting?
Yeah, Anna?
Okay, so many tasks to do and all. I thought well, I was kind of amazed by the learning techniques which are used at certain universities in Europe, business universities. I didn't know, and I would like to have that as well. Nicole told us a story about how she does work back at EDHEC in Lille. How she does her courses. And the other thing which I also realized, that's why I thought it was fun that Dagna was also raising it, that was working with children and how she learned a lot by observing how people or how children are treated, how people work with them, and in which way this can actually, there can be some really interesting outcomes on how to do things differently.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Julia, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to share a story from Adriana. She told me about coaching experience, or how do you say that, training, and what kind of happened afterwards. Because when she was reflecting more and more on what she had learned, then she saw like what are the kind of learning enemies.
Yeah.
And she was realizing when she was blocking herself to learn something. And whenever that happens, she sees it and she can react on that. And I'm really excited about that. I think that's quite amazing.
And what is a learning enemy?
When you, as an example, maybe she can tell you more about it, but as an example, when you think you cannot understand something, and you think, yeah, okay, cool that you're knowing that, but I don't, and I won't, yeah.
Okay.
And then you have this feeling, this learning enemy that tells you you will never know that.
Okay. Okay, got it.
One example, but I think there are others as well.
Yeah. Thank you. And what about the group in Sao Paulo? Any feedback from you guys?
Chris, I just want to say that Nicole and Heidi both have their hands up.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I can't see that. Let's have one of them first then.
Hydrogen now. Sorry.
No, it's you. You could go, and then we'll go back to Nicole and then Heidi.
Okay. Here in Brazil, we are formatting some disciplines to connect our students with sense of responsible management, because we need another kind of profile in these new leaders. We create some communities, practice communities. We have 9 different student organizations, and in these organizations we practice a lot of hands-on projects. Everybody discuss community projects, NGO projects, and we feeling this kind of this methodology is better to motivate our students and by the emotional sense, because I think sustainability is not all about logic or rational knowledge. We need more emotional, more feelings, and in this spirit we have a lot of work with this community projects, trying to link this in our hidden curriculum and productions more experience, because this new generation of leaders are very interested in participate of this change. So we have a lot of project disciplines and research trying to link this new vision for the future. We can listen to you.
Thank you. I'm hearing something about the importance of practical engagement in real world things that make a difference. And I heard that engages the kind of the heart more, and it engages emotions as part, and you feel like you're doing something worthwhile, and it's more real than just study in a classroom. Okay, great. Nicole?
Okay, hi.
Hi.
I suppose you can all hear me. Okay, good. What was interesting in our group, Dagna had recounted one of her experiences where she went from a particular field that she knew well, and then she went and spent a year in a foreign land doing something completely different. And stepping out of her comfort zone, she was able to really expand her horizons and learn so much from this experience. So that was like really cool, and I think that's so important for learners, not to just, oh no, I'm going to be a special in this, I don't want to learn anything else. You know, and so we can gain information even from when it's outside of our wheelhouse. But what came from all of our talk was that the posture of the leader, the teacher, the posture of the teacher, and also the posture of the learner are both so integral for anything being learned at all. So that kind of came up in our stories. Dagna was able to assume the posture of a learner by embracing her experience instead of shutting down, saying, no, this isn't comfortable for me, or I don't care so much about this, but she didn't. And me as a teacher, I try to be a teacher who supports growth and reflexivity and curiosity in the classroom. And anyways, so that's just the part I wanted to add. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. So something about modeling something as well as a teacher or as a leader. Interesting. Thank you. Heidi?
Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to share because I thought that there was so much commonality in the stories that we had in our group around a couple of things. And the words that really came out were around courage, risk, vulnerability, and listening to both of you before me around kind of linking into feelings, heart, and emotion, and stepping out of comfort zones. It was lovely. It was almost just kind of a flow through of similar experiences, and just how powerfully that really unlocks either different kinds of conversations or relational opportunities that allow for real learning and real reflection. And even just us reflecting on those stories was a wonderful learning experience. But I just share that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I see Adriana has her hand up, and I also want to welcome Vanessa that's joined us.
Oh, okay. So Adriana, let's hear from you.
No, I just want to add, because you asked what is the enemies of learning, and I have added to the virtual flip chart all of them, so you
I
can
saw that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And friends of learning as well.
Both, because we discussed both. Yeah, that's really important. Yeah.
Great. So it seems like we have found some ways to use the virtual technology to support the learning process as we go. Yeah.
Not perfect yet, but definitely very productive. If you want to, if you look, and just for Vanessa's sake, Vanessa, I've shared with the group again the link, or at least with you, the link where we're capturing our comments as we're working through the vCollab.
So just to welcome you to the conversation, Vanessa, we've just been sharing stories about kind of great learning experiences we've had and what factors we feel contributed to that. So I don't know if there's anything you'd like to kind of contribute at this stage as a way to get into the conversation. No.
Just checking. Can you hear us?
Oh, she's gone. Okay. So I feel that we've harvested a lot of really, really interesting stuff here. Very powerful stuff on the flip chart. So I think we can move on to the next thing. Now, this is where we're really testing the technology. Because what we'd like to do at this stage is just to take a very short break, which just so that everybody can get up, get out of the chair, get away from directly in front of the screen for a couple of minutes, because we know that being in front of the screen can be sapping of energy and can be a little bit unhealthy. So we thought we would build in a natural kind of physical break, which is literally 2 minutes just to get up out of your chair and shake yourself down. Now, if the technology works well, which it looks like it's about to, John is going to share a video which you can play along with if you would like to. So having shared earlier the ancient Japanese wisdom of Zen, we're now going to try to share the ancient Swedish wisdom of morning exercises. So there, if the technology works, here we are. We will have a video that you can move along to, or you can simply just get up out of your chair and here we go. So 2 minute break, and it might be good to take your headphones out for this.
It's not working.
Förlåt ett tag, skulle inte jag kunna få vara med på ett hörn? Följden är visserligen bra, men hur skulle det gå med att vinka dekamen om inte hans släckigheter balanserades på något vis? Vi måste röra på oss regelbundet, och då har vi morgongymnastiken i radio som en bra metod. Blås ut nattdunket ur lungorna på det här sättet, dina klämmiga utandningar. Sen sätter vi igång med några upplivande rörelser på det här sättet. Och ger oss sen in på det centrala på bågen. Och då tar vi handduken till hjälp och gör en översträckning till att börja med utav ryggen. Och handduken den är bra i sidböjningarna på det här sättet. Man drar bra där. Och så hjälper den till i kastvridningarna och sätter en väldig kläm på dem. Sen tar vi och jagar ut de reumatiska knölarna ur axlarna på det här viset.
Hi everyone, it seems like we're having some issues with the share. Oh, that's a real pity.
I got the sound, but not the vision.
No.
You just got stuck right at the beginning.
Okay. Let's.
I shared the link with you also on the chat, just for those who want to do it afterwards.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's, having stretched a little and moved, even if we didn't quite get the exercise video, let's rejoin the conversation.
Sorry about that, everyone. It seems like it didn't play along. So you were meant to all be stretching. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
Okay. We'll try again another time and see if we can get the technology to work. Okay, so the invitation at this point is move back into small groups that John will, again, he'll split us up into small groups. And the invitation at this stage is to enter into a discussion about, okay, having shared these stories, having picked out some themes that seem to be emerging about what makes a great experience. So we're talking about things like we're coming up with themes like being outside of your comfort zone, being involved in practical hands-on things, engaging the whole person, the head and the heart as well, these kinds of themes. How can we then apply those directly into management education? And that might be management education in the classroom, or it might be management education within an organization. So it might be within business, for example. And all of this, of course, in pursuit of responsible leadership. So that's the territory that we want to move into. How could I, as an individual, start to incorporate these kinds of themes into what I do around management education? So John, I think if you can split us up into groups, and again, we'll try the same thing with one of the conversation starters in each group. And again, around 15 minutes for this.
I'm about to create the rooms. There are going to be 3 rooms this time around because I noticed that we had some people having issues earlier. Okay. We will, however, ask the larger group to either participate as if they're one person, or to mute themselves and conduct their own conversation. So the rooms are about to open.
Great, thanks.
Please click on the button to join a room.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I just think you shouldn't just leave the room and check who the others and how to go on with us two in the same room.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if you leave the room.
I think I could get back to the big one.
Really? Are you going to do it or me?
I can do it.
Okay. Okay, good. Sorry for that. It's just that Anna and I shouldn't be in the same room. Okay, that's fine. So, Vanessa, I don't know how much you have heard so far because you just one, right? Yeah, I joined at 3, so that was the time I thought it was starting my invite, whether or not it's come across as wrong. That's 3. For us, yeah. For you, it's 3. There we go. Okay. I'm going to, I don't know if you have seen already the whiteboard with all the marks from the previous session. I haven't, no. You can see it in the chat. Okay, yeah. Oh, yes, yeah. Maybe that's good for you. Yeah, no. I'll let you back.
Yes, I was all by myself.
Aww.
I'm just joining you.
I was just updating Vanessa and sent her the link to the whiteboard. Thank you.
I was continuing you.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay.
So the idea now, I guess we should focus on certain points, right, to discuss.
Yeah.
Is there anything particular you think what you think came out of the previous brainstorming session of storytelling? And
So it's about incorporating something at university, right? So if you have 1 or 2 things we would like to implement or have and
Okay, so I think we're back in the whole group. Oh, and I've just seen Mark has joined us. Hi, Mark.
Yeah. And Granola as well.
Yes.
Ah,
Hi, John.
Yes.
hi.
Hi, Mark.
We're just about wrapping up, so I don't know if there's been a misunderstanding about.
No, I went to the wrong website, which told me that CET was 10 a.m. Eastern time, not 9 a.m. But God knows why.
It's
No,
because
I'm sorry, I had the same issue. So
it's important next time you put CEST because we are in the summertime. And,
Oh, that's it. It said CET on the email.
And next time put CEST and then you won't have an issue.
Okay, so for those who have just joined us, I'll quickly summarize because we're kind of coming to the end. Although I have time to stay on, actually, if the people who have just joined want to stay on, I'm more than happy to do that. The process we've been through is exchanging stories of great learning experiences we've had, and then harvesting what the factors have been that have contributed to those great learning experiences. And then round 2 that we've just been through is how might we apply those back into our own practice. So how could we, what could we practically do in management education terms to adopt some of those factors that contribute to a great learning experience. So for those who have been on the call all the way through, the plan at this point is was to check out because our time is up. So I'll give us the checkout questions. But as I say, if people want to stay on the call, I'm happy to stay on the call. I don't know if other people are. We'll see who can stay on, and we'll do a bit of a very rapid rerun for those of you who have just joined.
We can keep the room open for another 2 minutes, Chris.
Okay, great. Great. So the checkout, and this would be kind of in turn for anybody who wants to do this as a way of kind of summarizing their own learning from the conversation. We came up with 2 questions. Firstly, what have I learned today? So in these conversations, what's the kind of the big take-home message for me? What has kind of really resonated with me? What's stuck that I've learned? And the second would be that last thing that we've just been on is what would I like to change in terms of my own practice, either as an educator or as a learner? So what have I learned and what would I like to change in my practice? And I guess, John, you'll be able to see people as they raise their hands?
Yeah, we will. Okay. So I think those, you guys are welcome to just raise your hands using the raise your hand function.
I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to raise my hand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, brilliant.
That work? Heck with this virtual stuff.
Great.
Did you want to say something as well, Mark, or did you just want to raise your hand?
I just needed the exercise. I missed that Swedish part.
Yeah.
No, I'll say something. I would really like to be part of a catalytic group that creates a brand new type of institution that cultivates, that's designed and operated to cultivate globally responsible leadership, unfettered by all the trappings of the current model of business schools. I think we are trying to pour new wine into an old wineskin. I would really like to be part of a catalyst group that creates a new organization from the ground up that does that and can be an example of the way it should be done. I'd love to do that. So I'm tired of just pushing on ropes, playing around the fringes. It's time to create something entirely new. Something, and we all know what that looks like. And I'm sure that we have the collective capacity within the GRLI to figure that out really quickly. But it's going to take some resources and some effort for that. And I'd love to be part of that catalytic group.
Wow. Now there's an offer that we can't refuse.
Okay, sounds like we have two now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like something that we might want to take forward into the GRLI kind of AGM or into the Guardians group, or let's find a way to take that in. Okay, who else would like to?
Am I raising my hand or not? I don't know how to do it actually.
Well, you are. So.
Well, Mark, you can count me definitely in. It's my passion. What you're talking about is my passion, and I've done and I'm doing a lot of research about it, and I'm experimenting a lot with my students and writing a bit. So please count me in. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
I told John 2 weeks ago that I would like to work on education and how to incorporate responsible leadership into the existing classes inside the business school. But I am definitely with you when you say that we have to broaden our spectrum and our imagination and offer something that helps leaders to go beyond the shareholder value maximization.
Right.
So I would be happy to work on that.
Let's some of us stay behind afterwards and pick this up. Who else has something to check out on? Heidi.
I just wanted to say that, when we spoke earlier in our conversation about courage and risk, I feel like the summation of the 2 points that have been raised here in closing all came to life in that group. It was wonderful. Like, we can answer this question, or we can really just look at what the real, are we putting plaster on something, or do we really need to shake things up? So it was just lovely because, I've written down here from earlier on, courage and risk and vulnerability to unlock what we powerfully need to do, So, thank you. It was lovely. It was really great.
Beautiful. Thank you. John, I can't see who else is raising their hand.
Go on, Vanessa.
Sorry, Vanessa.
Sorry.
Guys.
Oh.
You're on.
I think I had a bit of an issue with logging in and things, so sorry, I've only done the part 2. But coming into the conversation halfway through, all of the things that you talked about are all major themes in the work that we do at Betty's and Taylor's, so I could resonate with everything. And personally, my development journey in this organisation has been really, it's really exciting, the work that we're doing. And this is my first connection with the GRLI, and I hope to see more of you in October. So if there is anything after that I can stay along and talk more about, that would be great. But certainly I'm in a new role here of Head of Learning and Development, and these are all the kinds of themes that are really important. So to have a network to talk about them feels brilliant.
Great. And again, that's a voice from business. Which is really good to hear. Thank you. It's good that the themes resonate in the real world of business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, who else?
Sorry, I'm just looking to see whether there are any other hands. And I'm not looking at the video, I'm looking at the buttons, but not seeing anything right now. I would perhaps just like to offer, just in case there's still someone thinking about adding a checkout comment, I would just like to, to add something to the question being asked here, which is, what did I learn today, and what am I going to do differently as a result? I think what I'm hearing, and that's part of my learning, and also looking at where GRLI is at the moment. I'm hearing that there's definitely still a need out there for doing work on a peer learning basis that tries to create systemic change beyond just changing, for instance, accreditation systems or aligning to existing agendas, whether they're the SDGs or other. I really like the comment that group 3 made that said, stop trying changing business school and create an effective institution outside business schools that truly changes the status quo. When I'm in New York next week, where I'll represent us at the UNGC Leaders Summit, I also have the opportunity to talk to some potential patrons and donors. And I think, if we do manage to raise some additional funds, that we should really look at creating real world examples of the, let's call it the executive monastery, which we described in 50+20. Because it seems that the world needs something completely different to what we're trying to, trying to change incrementally. So that's a bit of a takeaway for me, and I guess a bit of a challenge as well for us as a global community of responsible action.
Yeah. Okay, great.
There is something that Mark said that I really liked. He said that we have a century ago, we created schools of business, and now we could create schools of leadership. I leave it for as food for thought. I really like the idea.
Absolutely. Anna has her hand up. Anna?
So,
sorry, just to... Anna has her hand up.
Yeah. I just wanted to add something, because that's something which is like a really central point of what we are usually discussing, and we didn't bring it up, and it didn't came up in this conversation today as well. I just realized when we were talking about, what could you bring to business schools? How can you change in a way to make those learning experiences possible? I think a really important point would be bringing in students, because there is so much brain power which can be used by having a more collaborative approach between faculty and students, and not just having like a one-way street where it's figuring out on how to teach somebody, but rather teach each other, basically, and bring everybody into the process.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, other people who haven't checked out yet? Julia, Nicole, Adriana, Dagna? The Sao Paulo contingent?
I can add a small something. I think with this, listening to everybody and thinking about my own experiences, and even with the pedagogy that we do use, which we know is effective. I briefly talked about the posture of the students, and I'm Canadian, and I've been living in France for 10 years. So like the difference in education and the difference between the expectations of students, between maturity levels at different ages, there's so many things that are different. And we find that there's a big, what can I say here? Most of the French students, the system here is that they go through high school. They're forced already to select sciences or math or literature when they're teenagers. They go straight from there into classes préparatoires, which is 2 years of a puppy mill. It's absolutely horrifying. And even they say so themselves, but it's what you have to do. It's the prestige, and it's that there's this enormous pressure for students to go straight into Prepa. Prepa prepares them only 2 years to prepare for the entrance exams in the business school. 2 years of people pushing information on them and saying, this is how you treat this information. You're not allowed independent thought. So that's Prepa here in a nutshell. And during this time as well, the students who are violinists and ballerinas and like just insane levels of talent, during those 2 years, they don't touch their passions at all. They have no time, no energy. So when they come into the business school, and we do the entrance exams, right? And they all sound exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And you ask for their opinion, and they don't have one. But they don't have one that includes their own thought, their own experience. It's all kind of like carbon copy answers that the prepa trains them to have. And when we bring this pedagogy, the students want different pedagogy, but we're finding that there's a big difference between students who have not gone through prepa, students who have gone through prepa. So all the pedagogy that I kind of very briefly touched on, my international students lap it up. And even some of the French students who come through university, which is really looked down upon, they also grasp it because they've got more experience, more individuality. But the majority of our students come through prepa, and it's really hard to break into their clique to teach them. Mm-hmm. There's also this other aspect. They're prestigious. And so they enter the business school, and there's this kind of really difficult area.
Can I just pull you back to
yeah, sure.
the thought of what the impact of that might be on your own practice, just as a checkout question, just to allow others.
So,
yep.
So sorry, because it's not me anymore. So for my own practice, I do need to find a way to better engage the students. There's to better engage the students who are resistant. Because every time I teach international students, I get rave reviews. And occasionally when it's a high percentage of prepa students, this last year, and now I have to do the workshop again, I need to find a different way to engage them to see the value of reflection.
Okay, great.
And
perfect.
Challenging. So that's my task.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else with their who hasn't spoken yet? Just so that we can round off this round, and then I am gonna, if we can stay in the room, people who joined late, we can carry on a broader discussion. But anybody who hasn't checked out so far?
I haven't checked out. If you want, I can.
Okay, good. Thank you.
It's my first time in a GRLI meeting, so I'm really pleased because I'm hearing so much about it, and I'm glad that I'm here and I have learned so much. And what I want to take away is I'm leading one of the leadership program of Oikos, and I've seen how important it is that those students, it was only the pilot project, the students have been through this experience, and how this, when Mark said, this alternative course and alternative business school, we are offering partially that, and that's really an amazing thing. And they are the ones creating their own learning, and they're really learning with self. They are learning about themselves, something that they don't get it in their schools at the moment. So it's an awesome and powerful way actually to replicate to other places. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Chris, you're on mute, just in case you were busy.
Yeah. Is there anybody else who'd like to check out?
May I just respond to something which which I'm hearing is, and right at the beginning of the call, I don't know whether I mentioned this, but we had a session in Rome this week at EFMD's annual conference where there was a speaker on digital learning strategies. And when we reached the end of the presentation, the question that kind of, that was kind of held in the room is, how do we change the pedagogy regardless of whether it's digital or real world? How do we change the pedagogy to involve and develop more of of the people that are in the learning process. And the phrase that came to mind to me at the time was something I think that we recorded around the time of 50 plus 20. And Heidi, we actually filmed this particular phrase at Spear when Arnold Smith said, how do we develop the leader in the human being and the human being in the leader? And so, when, for instance, Nicole talks about changing the posture of learners and teachers for that matter, when people are forced or brought up in a industrialized schooling system, way of thinking, that produces particular, units of production, then I think the need, the necessity for developing the whole of the person is so much greater. To link that to this call for a catalytic group that creates a school of leadership and management, beyond schools of business, is that it's founded on something that recognizes the need to develop the whole human being. So just a thought.
Yeah. All right. I think we're a little bit over time now. And unless there's anybody else who's dying to check out who hasn't already, I think I'll draw the conversation to a close. And anybody who wants to stay on can, and especially the people who joined late, and we can carry on the conversation just to bring them in a little bit more. So I'd just like to finish by saying that I've had a great time. As you may see, the cat has now joined me. I've been desperately trying to keep him out of the picture, but he won't. He's like, yeah. I've had a great time, and what I've learned is that I think the digital technology actually can work. I think in the past I found it quite I found it quite inhuman. I found it very remote. And difficult to engage with, but today I found it much more easy to get into, and I think Zoom is a great technology for that. And I think we have been able to replicate the small groups as well as the large groups, which I think has been useful. And I think we've harvested some fantastic lessons on the flip chart. And I guess we'll get those tidied up and circulated around to people. So for me, it's been a great experience that I've kind of felt that I've been in the whole time, and I've felt that I've learned lots and had some very rich inputs into a more human and a more whole way of learning, and that fills me with hope. So I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for being part of that, and look forward to seeing you all on the next GRLI vCollab. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So stay if you want to, or go if you're done.
It was a nice experience. My colleagues have to go. They have gone and passed to me the duty to apologize. But it was a nice experience, a new experience for us. We are in an important business school here at São Paulo, and we want to see you. And nowadays we are writing a report about our actions here with our students, linked to Prime. We used the 6 principles for Prime here in our school, and you are writing a report in the next month. It is available, and you can see, in fact, what is done here. I hope see you soon. It was a nice experience today.
Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, John, I'm not sure, is there a time limit on the room now?
No, there isn't. I think what I might do then is just stop the recording, and I trust it won't cancel the room. So I'm about to stop the recording, and then if we see that it does cancel the room, just rejoin and it'll still be open.
Okay, great.
Let's do that. 1, 2, 3.